Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon Hodnett, bringing you a very special episode of Getting to Know the Garnet. For the first time since March of 2020, I'm finally getting the chance to record an interview with someone in person and not over Zoom. My guest today is none other than Brad Koch, our new Director of Athletics, Physical Education, and Recreation. I hope you enjoy our conversation. What led you to a career in athletics? Were you an athlete growing up? What was your background and introduction to athletics?
Absolutely. Thanks, Brandon. The interest in becoming a college athletic administrator really is just a combination of a whole lot of factors at play. I was an athlete growing up, played all kinds of sports imaginable, but really learning the back end of operations and logistics in regards to administration came through my undergrad at Allentown College, now DeSales University, but the practical experience I gained through internships, one at the Patriot League Athletic Conference, as well as an internship at Philadelphia University, where I ended up working for close to 15 years there. Also helps that my father is a retired high school basketball coach, teacher of close to 25 years, so really just grew up surrounded by sports and athletics.
Were you a gym rat growing up? Always.
Yes, it also helped that my father had installed a half-court outdoor basketball court in our yard, and with lights, and often kept our neighbors up. My brother and I, and my sister, who actually played basketball as well. But yes, we could not get enough of playing as many sports as we could growing up, and I was fortunate to play several in high school and played 2 years of collegiate basketball as well.
You grew up in the Montgomery County, Norristown area, right?
Yes.
So are your professional sports allegiances Philadelphia-based, or?
Yes, I am a fan of all Philadelphia major sports, absolutely. If I had to pick one over the others, I'd probably say the Eagles. My wife and I really enjoy watching Eagles games on Sundays. It's tough not to live in the city and be from the area and not just have a rooted interest for the Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, of course. Yes, there's really no allegiance to any other teams outside of the major sports in Philadelphia.
Are there lessons that you've learned as a fan, as an athlete, as an administrator? There's so many lessons that sports can teach. What are some things that have stuck out to you in your lifetime?
Great question, Brandon. I would say whether a student athlete or working within collegiate athletics, I actually had an internship with the Philadelphia Phantoms as well, which exposed me to the professional side of sports. Learned early on that I would have liked to gravitate and have in collegiate athletics, being able to make that comparison. But one of the things that I learned and continue to learn is just that, the need to learn and to absorb, and if you're not learning, you're not growing. So the importance of working with others and getting getting perspectives from others in collaboration is very important. And if you're able to do those things, to me, that's a recipe for success, not only in your professional career, but certainly within your family and in life in general. So that's one of the approaches that I've taken in my career. I never want to stop growing, and to do that, you need to learn as much as you can and absorb other perspectives and ideologies from other individuals that will help you allow to grow and gain valuable approaches in all elements of your respective career.
Along with those lessons learned, sports just provide so many memorable moments. Is there any particular moments for you? Maybe it was a childhood game that you went to, or a championship parade. Are there any really memorable moments that stick out to you around sports?
Yes, I'll give you three. I'll give you, if I can,
Sure.
I'll give you a personal, a social, and a professional. So personal would be 2008 World Series, Philadelphia Phillies, Tampa Bay. I was at one of those games. I know we took the series 4-1. I don't recall which game it was, but what a great experience to be a part of that. That was my first first foray into a college, or professional World Series championship. I had never been able to attend any of those games or type games. When there's not been a whole lot, right, Brandon, other than certainly the collegiate landscape. But that would be one. The second, from a social standpoint, I was dating my wife at the time, and I took her to a Philadelphia Sixers game, and it was, I believe, 2006, and it went into triple overtime, and Allen Iverson carried the team a victory over the Boston Celtics. Little did I know, though, that is my wife's least favorite sport, is basketball. So while I was in a luxury box with several of my friends and colleagues, and we're really having a great time, and our girlfriends were there as well, but little did I know that she wanted the game to end as quickly as possible. And then a professional, I had a unique opportunity really on several different occasions. As I was at Philadelphia University, then Philadelphia College of Textiles and Science, I worked with Sixers, Flyers, as well as individuals at the Wells Fargo Center. And one of the things we were able to do is my brother, who worked at Drexel at the time, we took our intramural flag football champions and Drexel's flag football champions, and we had an extramural clash. But we did it prior to a Philadelphia Soul football game. We did it after. We watched the Philadelphia Soul play first, and then we were able to play that game on that indoor surface, and really a cool experience for the student athletes, for us to watch that, and for them to be a part of that was really a great event. We did the same thing with Sixers and played on the Sixers floor after a game. So those were some really great experiences, being a part of a professional franchise.
You had the privilege of winning a national championship at Cabrini. I know that's every athlete's goal at the end of the year, to be holding that championship trophy. Yeah. What was that like for you? As you weren't participating as an athlete, but as an administrator, just be there around the team and that whole environment, especially to do it in Philadelphia too. What was that like?
Yes, euphoric. I think that's probably the best word for it. Elated. There's so many great people behind the planning and all the years of preparation and execution to getting to that point. To be in a position to work through NCAA tournament play. Some of those games were at home at Cabrini, and then play the national championships in your backyard at Lincoln Financial Field with a sea of blue, and have the celebration following and storming the field with the student athletes. It's really tough to describe other than perfect. It was so much fun and something that really sent a statement too, I believe, that smaller schools like Cabrini can not only compete but win at the grandest stage. So it was gratifying on so many different levels, and fully expect to hit that pinnacle here as well, not a matter of if, just when.
I love to hear that. Mm-hmm. Well, Brad, let's transition a little bit. Let's find out a little bit more about you from a personal level. When you're not working in athletics, when you're not winning national championships, what do you like to do in your free time?
Yes, I have. I spend a lot of time with my family where I can. My wife, who is a teacher, as well as has ventured into politics over the last several years. I have a 9-year-old and 12-year-old boy and girl as well. I spend a lot of time with them as much as I can. I exercise often, try to make that a daily part of my daily routine. And then through the pandemic, I've had a renewed interest in reading books, in particular historical nonfiction. I've really focused on learning from some things that have happened in the past. No surprise here, but they're all predominantly sports related. Although one of the books that I'm reading now is The Cruelest Miles, which is the story of the epidemic in Alaska in the 1920s, and how they used the dog sleds to really work through impassable territory to get this serum to an ailing community, which led to the spawn of the Iditarod. And so learning about that, it's a really interesting book. So when time, I like to read and work through some of these great books that I've picked up in recent months. And where you can, certainly enjoy the Philadelphia landscape, Philadelphia sports scene. Looking forward to, if I can, before the summer's out, going to a Phillies game with my family. So probably your your typical, family, friends, and then focusing on what you can within the profession that you're in. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned going to a professional sporting event. It just made me think, if you're at a professional sporting event, what's your go-to concession stand food of choice? Do you have a
Chicken Pete's?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I get the crab fries.
God, I mean, I didn't even have to take time to think about that. Yes, that's probably the first place that we would go. And they have it now where it's real quick. You just get in there, it's, you serve yourself, you grab the fries, you come out and you go to your seat. So yeah, that's tough to beat.
You dip
we
it
do
in the
that.
cheese sauce?
Absolutely, yes. Of course, it's kids' favorite too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
How about you, Brandon? Where do you like to go?
Yeah, I went to a game in April, first game in 2 years. Like, first thing I'm doing, getting the crab fries.
Crab fries. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
So, Brandon, we're just getting to know you, and so there's a lot we don't know about you, but are there any hidden talents or fun facts about you that even most people who do know you don't know about you?
I thought maybe that question would come up, and the one thing that I can share that I think is interesting is the fact that it's actually a pretty funny story, but short story. But when I was dating my wife, I had the opportunity to go up in a glider. My father-in-law is a glider pilot, and what an experience that really was. Very. You're in awe most of the time you're in this flight. Very different than commercial aviation. But one of the things that he asked me as I was dating my wife, her name's Kim, is what are your intentions with my daughter? So clearly I had to answer very carefully at that time. But what a great experience that was, and learning a little bit more about what goes into being a pilot. And that interest has fallen now to my son, who is taking a specific interest in working through what it could mean for him to be a pilot. So the fact that that's kind of stayed within the family, and he's really taken a vested interest in that too, was really cool. That's highly recommend it. It can be nerve-wracking or unnerving, I should say, but there's no engine. You're sitting in a glider, and you're just surrounded by clouds and air. And the pilot, actually, in this glider plane that I was in, he's in the back. So you're really just looking at, and you're gliding through the air, and very interesting on how you land the glider as well.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah. So I know you've only been on Swarthmore's campus a couple times. You've gotten a little bit of a tour. Just from what you've already seen, what's kind of stood out to you as special about this place?
People. Everyone has been so welcoming, not only through the interview process, which was completely virtual, but since I've been on campus a few times over recent weeks, so many people have reached out to welcome me, to offer their help in my transition. So it's really been seamless so far. I've really felt at home just in the few times that I've been here. And it's genuine, it's authentic. Clearly there's just so many good people that work at Swarthmore, and really want to make every effort to not only learn about me as I do about those that I'm conversing with, but have, again, a genuine interest to help out and to make sure the onboarding process goes as quickly as possible.
Are you inclined to travel much? Do you like traveling the world? Are you an explorer, or do you?
At some point, yes.
Yeah.
But I have not had the opportunity in my lifetime to. In fact, I've only been out of the country a handful of times, to Canada, to Mexico a few times with my family. But yes, at some point I would like to travel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so if there was anywhere in the world that you could take a Swarthmore team, where would you want to go?
If I had to pick, probably Europe, in particular Greece. I think there's just so many beautiful places and spots to go to. Probably just because of the cultural perspective and so many different landmarks that you can work through, and so that would probably be the first destination. Knowing, of course, too, that's I really haven't been privy to seeing countries like that, So yeah, probably Europe first and foremost.
That's awesome. I personally haven't had the chance to go to Europe. I got to go to China with our volleyball team a couple years ago, and that was an incredible experience.
Yeah. Those international trips, those are
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
So important for the student athlete experience,
Yeah.
and able to do that every 3 years.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like it's been a while since our teams have been able to do that, but
Yep.
each year that the team went in the preseason, they were in the NCAA tournament that same year. So there's something,
Here.
there's some correlation of like just the extra bonding time that they've had.
Yes, very true. There's
yeah.
absolutely a correlation there. Yeah, very true.
So I kind of want to get into some of the specifics, what your vision is for Swarthmore athletics, and
Right.
I'm sure it's going to get more fleshed out the longer that you're here, but do you have what are your immediate goals kind of, as Swarthmore starts playing again in the fall,
Right.
students are back on campus, what are some of those immediate goals that you have?
Well, you said it, Brandon. For me right now, I need to listen and learn. I need to pay attention to all the different stakeholders, a part of Swarthmore, alums, faculty, coaches, student athletes, and find out, what's driving them, and what are some of the needs, some of the areas of focus that they have, and really pay attention, listen, and from there, a strategic vision plan I'll develop. It's difficult to say just at this point where some of the focus areas or some of the areas, at least right off the bat. In order to get to that point, I really just need to rely on those that have context of the institution, that can speak to what has worked, what has not worked, and getting, as I alluded to earlier, the importance of varying perspectives. And that's going to be a big part of my process early on, is taking the time to listen to coaches, to faculty, to administration, not only internal to athletics, but external as well. And ultimately create that vision, that plan that includes assessment, that includes benchmarks, and that covers a whole lot of ground. Infrastructure, personnel, what we're doing with each respective program, additional growth opportunities within athletics. So there's a lot of mileage to go through there, and it'll take some time for me to really develop that based on the feedback that I'll receive.
What is it that excites you about working at Swarthmore, and what you can kind of foresee for the future of Swarthmore?
Great. I will say build strength on strength. One of the things that I'd like to do is continue to fortify roadways, relationships between our constituents within athletics, as I mentioned a minute or so ago, but with other departments on campus. We're a piece of the pie. We're not the only piece of the pie. And in order to have that success that we talked about, it's critically important to foster those partnerships and grow. And I think that's certainly the path that this department and this community is on. And I'm very much looking forward to continue to enhance that process and really, again, dig in and find out how we as a community can work together to accomplish those goals. Yes, there are so many good things that I knew about coming into Swarthmore, but just have picked up in some of the conversations so far, and so many good things in the works. And I look forward to the continued success. And along that journey, as we also said earlier, we'll have a few national championships. And I look forward to this success in the region, but across the country. And whatever we can do to work together to enhance the Swarthmore brand, we'll get through it.
Love to hear that. Brad, I can end on that, but if there's any final thoughts that you wanted to share, anything that's really on your mind that you wanted to share for listeners, the time is yours.
Sure. I'll just say, feel free to reach out. Anything that I can help answer, anything that I can help or partner on, please don't hesitate. I'm looking forward to getting to know as many people as possible. I'm willing, I'm eager to listen and learn, as I said earlier as well. And again, very much looking forward to being visible and seeing everyone on campus and back on campus, right, Brandon? So seeing the activity again and campus life and how vibrant this campus is going to come in a few weeks is really exciting. So I'll see everyone around.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Swarthmore Athletics Podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and share it with your friends.